Hey folks, I'm Skylar Rochelle from the Z Show here on 90.9 The Bridge. Today I have the pleasure of talking with Stephen Blair and Liam Parsons of Melbourne's Good Morning, who just released their killer new album Barnyard on October 22nd via Polyvinyl Records. Thank y'all so much for coming in to say howdy.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Scott.
Anytime. So I know this record has only been out for less than a month, but how do you feel about its release so far?
Yeah, people have been very nice about it, which is obviously the better option. Yeah, it's been nice. It's kind of hard to gauge, I guess, because we made it a little while ago, like sort of just before the pandemic. So it's that classic thing of, it feels a little like ancient history to us almost at this point. But yeah, dragging it back out, it's been nice. We sort of like had a big release-ish party for it last night in Melbourne. It sort of felt like a kind of, end of the cycle sort of thing, which is nice, other than the big tour that will happen eventually. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to just like put something out and people are being warm, which is nice.
That's so good. That's really good. And I know, so that was probably one of your first time playing in quite a bit.
Yeah, well, we've played like a few shows like during COVID, I guess, like, on and off, like out when we've been out of lockdowns here in Melbourne. But I think last night was sort of the first one that felt kind of normal. Like we've maybe played like 5 or 6 in the past couple of years. But this was the first sort of one that kind of felt like back to regular programming vibe, which was really nice. It's a good feeling.
That's so good. I feel like I've heard that lockdown was like pretty heavy in Australia, at least compared to the US for sure, which is good.
Yeah, it was a lot stricter. I mean, yeah, at least in Victoria where we are, in New South Wales where Sydney is. It's just like we didn't have the same numbers that you did, but I think, it was just a lot more heavy. But I don't know, we made it through.
For sure. And I think I read somewhere that during that time, one of y'all would like write stories about people that you'd randomly see outside your window. Yeah.
I feel like that's trying to take inspiration because like still trying to like write music and maintain some sort of creative habit when you've got like nothing to fucking like, you're not actually living a life. Like you're just sort of sat around like, I feel like I turned to that to just like writing those stories. But
I love that. That's fantastic. So as you mentioned, this album was written, pre-pandemic. Was it sort of weird to have such a big gap between completing it and releasing it, or was it sort of nice to have that extra time?
I feel like on a whole, it probably definitely like, it helped us out having that time to sort of just be able to like plan for it and not, we were going to try and like do it earlier. And I think our initial reaction whenever we finish a record is that like, we just want it out as soon as possible. But like, I think it was helpful having a bit of time, but it is kind of weird because you do feel like very detached from it. Like obviously I've heard that record a lot, but I haven't actually listened to it in such a long time now. Like it seems strange that like to us and to like people within our orbit, like our friends, like the record's been out since 2019 because they all just had it after we made it. But so it feels a little strange, but it's nice to put it out there. I think for me, it's hard to gauge people's reactions actually because anyone who like I know has given me their opinion like a few years ago, and now that it's out and we can't really play shows or interact with like people, outside of our friends and stuff, it's harder to gauge, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad y'all decided to wait. I mean, it seems like, it's a good time to release a record considering.
Yeah. So I think it's better than doing it in the middle, like, and it didn't really feel like a long time until it came out. Like prior to that, it was just like didn't feel like it was like super drawn out, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, that was like 2 years, you know. But yeah, I think it was much better than putting it out in the middle and like literally not being able to do anything for it. I mean, we hate doing like live streams and stuff. Like, I feel like that would have been a pretty disastrous combination for Stefan and I, like having to do that to like promote it. But yeah,
Definitely. Well, so like this Barnyard, it's finished. It's very like well thought out, and it's sort of the first time that you guys have reached past the 30-minute mark, which was sort of one of your goals going into this project. Why was that? Like, why was that number so important?
I feel like it was just like just trying to make something that was like, yeah, of a legitimate album length. I don't know. We wanted it, yeah, just wanted it to be like, you know, over 10 songs would have been ideal, and yeah, over 30 minutes. What did it get to in the end? It's like 32.
32.
Yeah.
32.
we only just made it over that.
Just straight by.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Stefan, I realized as if we were going to cut one of the songs at one point.
We were, yeah.
That would have brought it back down below 30.
Yeah, shit, it would have been a 29-minute record.
Oh my god. Yeah, no.
Well, you know what? Now I'm glad that we did not cut that song.
Made it. Oh my gosh. So I think that's great, and I think, you know, it feels very complete, not only in its like length, but also like thematic elements and just the way it flows. It's a really beautiful piece.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
And so in the past, y'all have sort of talked about this inclination of like working super quickly on like writing and recording an album and, you know, all that jazz. Was that the case for this album, or because it felt like a bigger project over 30 minutes, did you feel like you had to take more time with it at all?
Well, the writing was like maybe a bit more of a process than usual. I feel like the last 2 albums we'd done before this were kind of very much like all the writing was either done like sort of separately and then just like in the studio, like while we were recording, like figuring it out. And this was sort of a big, I don't know, trying to write together or have sort of writing sessions, I guess, and like do a weekly kind of like hang out and do some songs, work on some songs together. So we did that for like a few months, maybe a couple of months, like once a week. But the actual recording was only 5 days. Like, it was super quick. And we just like had a big sort of bank of songs and didn't really know what it was going to be, and got in there and just started recording them. And sort of like once we did a couple, it sort of made a bit more sense about what the rest of the album was going to be and which ones to pick. And yeah, so sort of a bit of a mix of both. But generally, like, yeah, the recording, yeah, we did 12 songs in 5 days.
Wow.
So it was yeah, I mean, it was pretty helpful because there was like an engineer, like Tom, and we're in a studio, so it was like a lot easier than us like having to set up cables and me not knowing how to use like a desk and, you know, like stuff like that. Like, it'd just be, yeah, it's a lot easier to work that way.
That's good. And you recorded this at the Loft, which is Wilco's studio over in Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. What was that sort of experience like? Have you all ever worked in like a major studio setting like that?
No, that was the first time. It was great. It's like a very comfortable space. It's sort of just like just feels like a big lounge room or something. Like, you know, it's a bit dusty, lots of just like rugs down on the ground. It's kind of dark and like there's just sort of stuff lying around everywhere. But the way that it is set up, yeah, means that like we were able to just sort of like pump stuff out because you run over to the piano or whatever and there's already a microphone there and it's like ready to go. So you can put the part down as quickly as it takes you to sort of play the part, you know. And with, just like working with Tom, the engineer there, as Liam said before, it just made things so easy, and it was as quickly as the idea comes, you can just put it down. And it felt a very, sort of like low stakes environment. Even though, yeah, I think there was a bit of a concern about like getting into a studio and, you know, freaking out that like, you know, you're there for a finite amount of time and you have to squeeze everything that you can because you're paying for
time
the
is money.
Yeah, but like it didn't really feel like that, and like, yeah, it'd be nice like at some point during the day, you know, like we'd all just order food and sit around and relax and just like eat falafel or something, and then Tom would drive us back to our house at the end of the evening as well, and like it was all very relaxed and a really nice experience. But we could only use that studio I think because Wilco were on tour as well, so thanks to them for being away playing shows when we were there.
Well, that's great. That sounds like a quintessential studio experience for sure.
Yeah,
yeah, and what I really love about Barnyard is like all of the like instrumental layers you got in there, and also the chickens, by the way. Did you go into it like wanting to layer a whole bunch of stuff? Like I know y'all included some synth on there this time. And things like that.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, we've just sort of slowly, like, over the years, maybe gotten a bit denser with our like arrangements. Maybe, you know, I think like it's always been there. But when we record at home, like we have a 16-track tape machine that we use pretty much everything. So like we kind of get cut off at a certain point unless we want to start, you know, bouncing things down and going back, you know, back over. So I think being in the studio where like it's kind of like the first time using Pro Tools, like maybe like for us, I can't remember if maybe the first record was done that way too. Maybe I don't think so, but yeah. So it's kind of like it was like holy shit, you can do so much. You can just like keep recording everything, and I think there was a lot of like, you know, just getting ideas down and being like, you know, we'll mix this and we'll like figure it out if we want to keep this thing and we want to keep that thing, but like let's just get every idea that we have down. And then we never mixed the record, like, so it's just like there's no the finished version of the record is just like what we listen back to on the desk like that day, like at the end of every day. So everything just stayed, so it kind of like ended up a bit more dense, which I like. I think that's like my favorite thing about it. It's like pretty dense in parts, but yeah, it was definitely the idea. Whether or not it was meant to be that dense, I don't know.
That's sick. Do you have any favorite like instrumental moments with any on any of the tunes?
I think it's just like listening, like, yeah, it's funny because like sometimes like there would just be like one guitar part that I'm like, oh, I think that's actually like 7 guitars doing that, you know, like it's like it's like multi-tracked like to the walls, like everything. I always find that kind of funny because like it doesn't necessarily sound like it, but yeah, if you're listening for it. There's one, I think it's I've Been Waiting, maybe Stefan, that has like, I don't know, the left channel and the right channel both have like their own like rhythm section, I guess, like bass and drums, like
right. Yeah,
which I like. I think that's cool. Not that I've listened to it in headphones for a while.
Yeah, put multiple drum kits and yeah, it's fun. There was also just a lot of fun. Like the Loft did have quite a few fun like synths and keyboards and stuff. So I think we just wanted to play with them as well. So like we'd play with them and put them down, and yeah, like you were saying before, like think like we'll scrap this later, but we have to put this down because I just sort of want to play this fun little looking toy here, and everything just stayed. That's cool.
I love it. And I know Stefan, your dad, has played sax, I believe, on some projects in the past. Is he featured on this one at all?
There's a moment. It's like he didn't directly play it for the record. I just like when we made the demo for the song, I just like sampled it in from like an old recording of his. But he does make an appearance, I guess. He's not really that happy about it though, because he sort of comes from this like, you know, real trained, like sort of like he studied the instrument, and you know, he's very particular about the tuning of it and all this stuff. And when I just like ran it through an Ableton sampler and just like was like, yep, it's going in there, and like fuck with the tuning a bit. It's like, I think it's the worst thing that he can hear. And he did request that he asked me at one point if he could re-record it. And yeah, he was denied, unfortunately, but I hope he continues to work with us in the future. That's
I'm sure he'll grow to love it. It'll be good.
Yeah.
I feel like this album like has a lot of pop culture within it. You know, potentially more than, or not necessarily as obvious as it is in your other work, specifically tracks like Wahlberg, Young Sheldon, and Matthew Newton. And I know this record was written back in 2019, but have you found yourselves more plugged into that kind of stuff? Like, is pop culture something that you find yourselves writing about a lot?
I feel like I probably write about that shit more than Stefan does, maybe. Like, I don't know. I kind of get, I treat it like sports sometimes, you know, and it's just like me and my boyfriend is like arguing about like, you know, famous people. And then I'm like, this is ridiculous. What am I doing? Like, you know, like it's kind of, yeah, I probably pay more attention to like pop culture stuff than I should. But yeah, I like writing about it. But I kind of like writing about stuff like other things, but like sort of through that as a lens, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like yeah, writing about just other world, real world things, you know, but like then just like framing it as a story about the Wahlbergs or whatever, you know, like that's just like funnier to me, I guess. Not that music has to be funny, but like I probably enjoy things more when they're like a bit funny, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's gotta have some sort of, you know, that definitely adds more to it for sure. And that's something I really appreciate y'all's music. And yeah.
I'm trying to think, you don't really write. Do you have any like pop culture ones? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I feel like it's in there. Like we're all just yeah. Whether or not that explicit, like it's definitely, you know, I'm definitely tapped into the machine and like I'm absorbing it all the time, you know. So it's like it's definitely got its influence, but whether or not that's something that really explicitly comes through, I'm not too sure. I can't really remember the Good Morning catalog anymore. It's been so long since we've had to dive back in.
Oh my gosh. So aside from that, y'all also touch on the theme of climate change in your song Burning, which I feel sort of sums up the internal dilemma of, you know, just like being aware that this is happening. And it definitely has feeling in it, but it also like stresses this sort of need for dissociation from it all. And I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like it's a hard one because like I feel like it's sort of that need to like dissociate or whatever is like such like a short-term temporary thing. It's like, you know, you gotta take a holiday every now and again, you know, from the world. But like ultimately at the end of the day, I think you have to like stay engaged, and like I don't really like trust people to a certain extent that don't stay engaged, like, you know, most of the time are like know things. But yeah, I think there's just like a lot of anxiety, I think, with like, you know, kind of not even anxiety, like guilt, like about, you know, this like the world is kind of ending maybe if we don't do anything about it, and like we're just like rolling around making little songs, you know. Like it's kind of like, yeah, like what do I do, like what's the point of that, you know? There's just, I think it's just like more it's trying to juggle that feeling, which I'm still juggling, probably always will be, just like what's the point, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Now, was this written before all the fires in Australia?
It was, but it was like pretty evident that it was like going to be bad, I guess. Like you sort of just know I guess, in a way.
I think they had started like up in New South Wales,
It had
right?
started, yeah, it had started.
It did start like stupidly early. It
Yeah.
started in like September or something of that year.
Yeah.
Is, you know, like mid-spring sort of thing, which is, yeah, which hadn't happened in such a long time. But yeah, it was shaping up to be terrible. But by the time we got back to Melbourne, it was fucking, everyone was, well, not everyone, but people were wearing face masks because the city was just blanketed in smoke. And
yeah, we've been doing the mask thing for a while now.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just couldn't breathe. It was awful. Like, yeah. I mean, and we're like so far away from it all as well, like here, like in the city. But yeah, it was intense, really. It was a pretty hectic time. But yeah, that was beforehand. But it was like, yeah, we were pretty anxious about it all, like, I guess, because we were all in America on tour. And it'd just be like, yeah, reading the news back home like every day and just sort of like sharing it in the van, you know, just kind of sort of slowly seeped in this like kind of anxiety about it all. But yeah, I guess it's something that like at a certain, I don't know, almost kind of like used to bushfire season, which is awful. Like, yeah, I mean, it's similar in places in, you know, West Coast America and stuff, I guess, as well, in Canada. Yeah. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, it's a fact of life.
Unfortunately. And so although you all hit on some heavier themes like that throughout the album Barnyard, y'all have said this record is actually a little bit lighter than some of your others.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of is. Like, I think some of our early records, like, I don't know, I'm probably just speaking for myself, but I don't know if Stefan would agree, but like, I was just like so depressed all the time. Like when I was younger, you know, like I was just like such a little sad boy, you know, just kind of like whiny, like where songs, you know, like
that's such a propensity for just fucking whining for years and years.
Yeah, yeah, fully. Which like, you know, I think it was like, you know, similar vibe, like trying to balance it with like a bit of levity and jokes and whatnot. But like they were a bit more like self-obsessed and kind of, I don't know. Really kind of like sad songs, which I find heavier, to be honest. Maybe just to play and like think about and like listen to, but yeah, whether or not that actually is heavier than like the world. But yeah,
I feel like maybe the difference is like it's a little more external. Like, you know, as time passes, the writing gets a little bit more external and less so like self-absorbed and like self-absorbed in your own like just like, you know, depression or like sad feelings or just like, yeah, I don't know, just thinking about things like pardon?
Yeah, if it is like insular, it's kind of like a bit more like specific and like targeted, I guess, like as opposed to this like general malaise and like kind of, you know, weird sort of haziness of like being a bit younger. I don't know. It's probably, yeah. So I don't know. It's probably not that easy to track for like the listener, but I think for us it feels like lighter and just a bit like more breathing room.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
And so not only do you sort of talk about pop culture and really crucial social issues, but you go even further and kind of delve into the past, especially in the song Country. And Liam, you've mentioned that you're not sure if you're singing to old friends, an old lover, or your old self, potentially maybe even all three, and just kind of wrestling with the expectations of what you thought adult life would be. And just like that being said, when you were a kid, like how did you picture adulthood? Because I personally did not think about like things like health insurance and having to change my oil.
God. Oh god, yeah. I know.
You know?
But they should teach you that shit in school, to be honest. Like in school you should learn how to change a tire. You should learn how to do your packs. Like, you know, just like, you know, all that kind of shit. It's like, yeah, it's so stupid. I think I thought when I was a kid that my life would like, I don't know. I think I thought that like every single adult went to like a job in this, like caught the train into the city and went to their job and then like got to go see whatever movie they wanted. like, and then go home, and then you had like a family, you know, like that was probably like the extent of what I thought like life would be like.
That's the
I
dream.
don't know. That's the dream. And to be fair, that kind of is what I do now, to be fair. Like, it's not that far off. I see whatever movie I want, whenever I want.
Yes.
But I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, I think like, I can't even really remember like pinpoint like what I thought kind of things would be like.
Yeah,
But,
I definitely, feel like it was definitely romanticized for sure.
for sure. Yeah, which is nice. I mean, you got to do that. Like, yeah. I think I just thought like you know, you figure everything out, you know, like super early is kind of like the main thing. Like the like, you know, I think when you're younger you think that anyone that's older than you like has their shit together just by virtue of being older than you. And then like when you get older you're like, wait, why don't I have my shit together? Like what's wrong with me? And then but it's still the same. Like I look at people in their 30s now and I'm like, they've got their shit together. But like by the time I get to my 30s, I'll probably be like, I'm still just as lost. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I think it's just like, realizing that, you know, you're probably never going to have your shit together, you know? And that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's so true. Yeah, and y'all got started when you were quite young in high school, right?
We didn't. Wait, when did we start this band? I think we were out of high school when we started this one.
Out of high school, but like what, you were 20, I was 21, I think.
Yeah, pretty young, maybe even 19.
But we started doing music in high school for sure. Like when we met.
Okay, all right. And it was like a super like natural progression, right? And I read somewhere that it wasn't necessarily like all based around your music taste, but it was also predominantly because y'all shared a lot of the same humor, which I think is.
I think so. Well, I think it's just like kind of like anyone I want to like spend time with and like make music with and shit. Like, I don't know. There's like plenty of people I know that like are really good musicians, but I don't really want to hang out with like all the time. You know, like you guys, like Stefan, for the most part, like we've managed to do like, you know, a good 8 years and not really get sick of hanging out with each other too much. You know, there's always like, you know, A, we're like comfortable in silence, which is good, and B, we're also just comfortable with like shit talking each other for hours, which is kind of like, I feel like ideal. And then somewhere in there as well, we're also comfortable with like making music together, which is also convenient.
All very symbiotic.
Yeah.
So as far as deciding on your name, you wanted something that was a little bit hard to Google. So last night I did just Google just straight up good morning. And I eventually came across your Spotify page on the third, you know, Google page or whatever.
That's pretty good. That's good. That's actually wild.
I
would have expected it to be buried around like page number 28 or 29.
Yeah.
There you go. Number 3.
We keep doing albums like bad things as well, like Good Morning Barnyard, you know, whatever, and you like Google that, and it's just like things like farm songs and stuff, like all these kind of weird like rustic music, which is nice.
I love it. And yeah, you guys are just like shortly after Good Morning America, so
we're coming for you. Coming for you, Jimmy.
Always been contending with bloody Good Morning America.
Yeah, my blood feud.
So I'm assuming y'all are really looking forward to touring for this record after so much, you know, non-touring time. I know y'all really dig traveling.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to get back out. I mean, I haven't really left Melbourne for like 2 years, or like since COVID. Like I've been to the beach a couple of times. That's about it. So like, yeah, it's gonna be really, really good. It'll be nice to kind of get on the road. I think it'll be a little different, I guess, than it was, but yeah, it'd be nice to move.
Are there any places that you want to go that you haven't been yet?
We're playing somewhere in Alabama, which I'm excited about. That'll be cool. Which city is that again, Liam? I can't really remember.
Mobile.
Mobile. There you go.
Yeah.
Which would be cool.
Just in general, I'd like to do more like South America. Well, South America at all, any touring there. It seems a bit harder to organize, but yeah, one day I'd like to do that.
I'd like to get back down to Mexico as well. Yeah.
That's cool. It'll happen for sure. I have no doubt.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Alrighty, I've got one more left for you guys. What do you hope people take away from this record when they listen to it?
It's kind of hard. Like, I feel like, yeah, I'm always bad at like judging, thinking about what other people will think of our music, because at the end of the day, like, I'm really like selfish about it. Like, it's music for me and for Stefan, like.
Mm-hmm.
So really, like, at the end of the day, my ultimate goal with like other people's expectations is that they just don't hate it, really. But also, if they hate it, that's fine, like, yeah, I would hope they just get some kind of pleasantness for a small amount of time.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm trying to think like what I try and like, or like what I get out of other people's music if I'm listening to it. And a lot of the time it's just like, I just like, I like filling space with noise. It's like nice to have noise on. And then if I like an album, it's great, but I'm not exactly sure what, like, I guess I find comfort in that sometimes, but.
Yeah, me too. I would like maybe like in a few years, like someone just randomly thinks about this album and they're like, oh, that was all right. I wonder if it holds up. And then they listen to it and it's not bad.
Yeah, and then they're like, you know what? This is still fine. I will still listen.
Yeah, this is still okay. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Stefan and Liam, for taking the time to talk with me about your new insanely good album, Barnyard, that just came out October 22nd via Polyvinyl. I appreciate it, and I'm so pumped for folks to give it a whole lot of listens now and later.
Yeah. Thanks, Skylar. Thanks for chatting.
Skylar. Appreciate it.
For people watching and or listening, this is Good Morning with a special live performance session right here on 90.9 The Bridge.
Go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's what happened, get a bit alone. Not everybody gets that time on their own. What's in that box, man? You know it's not my head. Maybe the stars, the stupid shit I said over the years. Your days go on endless, your months end up there too. Let you hurt me, baby, if it's something to do. You were the best one, best I ever had. And even that best one can still turn bad over the years. And that's the secret. I keep it. Never felt so old, never felt so done. I'm up on that ladder, but how'd I get so high? Don't remember getting home last night. If I keep on climbing, I'll choose the best way down. And every night in those dreams I drown. So I think I need a leg up, think I need a boost. Got caught in that barbed wire fence just like you said was gonna happen, so I'm leaving it to you. Clean out my desk and I lick my wounds. If that's your secret, I keep it.
Alright, you're good. Yeah, better. Cool.
If I lose my patience, there's something wrong. If we wake up anxious and I can hear your thoughts, when I devote my brain to so much bullshit, well, I'm just that big fool who must rely on you. What I know depends on what I know. What I know depends on what I know. If I lose my wallet, yeah, who really cares? Since I'm not your cash man, I didn't average your fares. But when we wake up anxious and I can hear your thoughts, well, I'm still that big fool who must rely on you. What I know depends on what I know. What I know depends on what I know. Perhaps you peg me wrong, but do you want me out of sight?
Cool. Move on.
Yes.
We happy?
I'm happy.
Nice.
What's next?
Burning.
Laurel.
Some take it quiet, some get the shakes. There's no logic when your heart it breaks. Jane went to law school, John went to TAFE. It makes no difference at the end of the day. The ocean rises and the forest burns. You can't believe this is how the world turns. Some folks will swim and some folks will drown. Me, I just hold on to whatever I found and pray like I was a child. I'm going out for the night. Well, I might just stay. I'm trying to alleviate your fears. Airbnb up and it's for your ears. You're in the freeway and you're in your car. Ever just think about how fucked you are? Now's not the time, now's not the place to consider all the mess we've made. Some folks will swim, some folks will drown.
Just a quick word of affirmation, maybe. You're amazing, Paul. You're brilliant, James. You are terrific, Liam.
Stefan, you are loved.
Thank you. And now I feel like we're going to kill it collectively because we're now one, you know?
I feel one.
Well, let's do it now that we all feel whole again, you know?
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a real big whip for such a small dog. How will he pussy fly through such thick fog? And if your dog can sing, then so can I. How will you turn a blind eye? And when it's time to die, eyes, they see things all the same. And big wigs are just for those who can play the game. Yeah, that's a real nice hat for such a stupid cat. And I feel like I'm just bored of tired metaphor. Before my time is done, yeah, and I die, I'd love to see the world through kinder eyes. Eyes, they see things all the same. And big wigs are just for those who can play the game. Yeah, these eyes, they see things all the same. And big wigs are just for those who can play the game.
How'd y'all go?
Yeah, good for me. I like it.
Cool. Let's move on.
Can I get less of you, Steffi?
Yep. Cool. How did y'all feel about that? I thought it was cooking.
Yeah. Scrappy, good.
Cool. Well,
Fast.
cut.